Good evening, everyone. I'm extremely sorry for this unexpected delay starting the webinar. So, on behalf of LTI, I welcome the moderator, Dr. Mithun Andwala, President of LTI Ahmedabad chapter, and the panelists, Professor Joko from Indonesia, Professor Bhalla from Amit University, Professor Joya from Ahmedabad University, to this fifth session of weekend webinar series organized by LTI. The topic of today's webinar is teaching LSRW integratively or discretely. So I'll briefly talk about LTI and then hand it over to the moderator, Dr. Mithun. So LTI is the oldest teachers association with 53 chapters and MOUs with all the Asian teachers associations, with Cambridge University Press and BCT Canada as well. LTI works with the objective of providing a forum to teachers. It organizes development programs, provides consultancy, latest knowledge in ELT, and also research and experimentation, as well as professional support is provided by LTI. The benefits for members who want to join LTI or who are members of LTI are that we have sponsorship for e-courses and national and international conferences. The bi-monthly journal of LTA is given to members free. And along with that, they also get free subscription of e-journal and 3 SIGs, the Business English SIG, Literature SIG, and Computer Technology SIG. And there is possibility of getting articles published in our journal. Subsidized subscription for ITFL UK and TESOL USA is also available through LTI. Members can also professionally develop through participation in webinars, conferences, seminars organized by LTI. We also provide consultancy services to educational institutions and boards. Professional support is also provided to teachers, students, through practice material and training manuals that are provided to the members. So with this, I pass it on to Dr. Mithun Khandwala. On to you, Dr. Mithun.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Sanjay Arora. Thank you. There is a famous saying, you can't make your child speak a language. However, you can set the stage so they will want to speak it. So let us set the stage by today's panel discussion on teaching, listening, speaking, reading, writing, integratively or discretely. We have three very extraordinary scholars for the evening. Professor Jaya Kapoor, Professor Kanwal Bhalla, and Professor Choco Nurkamto. So now I would like to introduce and invite our first panelist, Professor Jaya Kapoor. She is a teacher, scholar, and creative artist. She is working as an associate professor in the Department of English and MEL at the University of Allahabad. She has 22 years of teaching experience at postgraduate and undergraduate level. She has supervised 6 awarded DPhils and has more than 8 scholars working on various aspects ranging from post-colonial literature, Indian poetry, Indian theatre, and partition studies. She has been awarded several prestigious scholarships and fellowships, including Sahitya Akademi Grant, UGC Grant for MRP, ASRC Fellowship, and IIAS Associate. She has been the Deputy Director of UGC, HRDC, and also held other administrative responsibilities. She has been felicitated by several prestigious organizations for her contribution to the society and academics, including Election Commission of India and the Rotary Club of India. So let's welcome Professor Jaya Kapoor. Ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Mithun. And it's an honor to share the space with Professor Sanjay Arora, Dr. Joko Nurkamto, Dr. Kanwal Bhalla, and it's a pleasure to be here for this webinar It's my first experience with a webinar, so please pardon if there are any glitches here. I hope that I am able to communicate whatever we are about to say. First of all, a very good evening to all of you. So the subject that we are discussing today, LSRW, integratively or discretely. Now, the subject is something that I have personally been trying to understand and make sense of in a very practical way through my language classes and through my literature classes. And what I have come to understand is that probably what we need to do is to look at the requirements of each integrative approach as well as the discrete approach, and then see where the needs are fulfilled for each of the aspects. It's not like a completely integrative approach is going to be useful for us or a completely discrete approach is going to be useful for us. We have already seen through various experiments that neither of them is very useful by itself. But presently what is happening is that there are two components of English courses across the country. One is the language course and one is the literature course. Then in the literature course, we are dealing with the texts per se, the literary texts per se. In the language course, there is a grammar portion and there is a portion in which the students are exposed to literary texts for learning of grammar and language, and then there are the practical aspects where they are told to practice letter writing, dialogue writing, etc., etc. The fact is that we need to understand that when we are teaching a student a certain language and or a literature in a certain language, what is the target that we need to meet? In this case, probably what we need to meet are what I call the 4 C's of communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. So let's take the first two first, because when we talk of communication and collaboration, we are basically talking of the ability of a student to be able to probably communicate with others and to be able to work in collaboration with others across a wider spectrum of the world, where English has emerged as a language of communication across a lot of countries. So that gives him the kind of tool with which they can effectively collaborate, not just within the country but also outside. So communication and collaboration are two things that probably we need to take within the integrative approach. This is an aspect that every student needs to learn. This is an aspect that probably every student needs to understand, because it is only then that probably they can effectively probably get to the level where they are into research, they are into jobs, they are into probably even personality development, confidence. Now, what happens is that when we talk of communication and collaboration, the basic language courses that offer the ability of communication and collaboration are very skewed with a repeated stress on the grammar portion. So what happens is, if a student has actually opted for a grammar course or actually opted for a language course, instead of actually teaching the student tools, giving the student tools to be able to communicate in that language, to be able to collaborate in that language, we keep on stressing on the grammar proportion. So probably from somewhere in the 4th or the 5th standard, where the student first gets exposed to grammar, the student constantly till the undergraduate level, even the postgraduate level, is trying to handle and grapple with a very major chunk of the grammar portion. That takes up and eats into a lot of time and a lot of energy that the course should be dedicating to practical aspect of learning a language. Instead, what I see is, in this integrative approach, where every student is given a kind of an exposure to learning of the language, we need to train the student to real life situations, where they are actually going to use that language, where they are actually going to find that language useful, where they can use that language for communication, for collaboration. And for that, we need to train them in those practical aspects through real life situations. It is not just through grammar and grammar exercises that we can do it. Even otherwise, when we give them exercises of dialogue writing or essay writing or even letter writing for that matter, we are actually not equipping them with tools where language becomes a functional advantage for them. We are only giving them a certificate or probably a vague knowledge of the language, which doesn't come in very handy when they go out in the world and try to grapple with the realities of using that language. So speaking that language is something that never comes in the format of our English language courses. Although, having a literary component to this English language course is something that will make it more interesting. It does make it more interesting. Also, it exposes the students to some very good usage of that language. But too much stress on literary aspect is also something which I would not recommend, but which is something, once again, which time and again we come across various language courses across the country, where this idea seeps into the language courses. So the way out for us is probably to have what we probably had as a kind of a foundation course, as a kind of a basic language course, as a part of every syllabus, as a part of every course that a student is doing. And there probably they will be able to get familiar with that language. This language has to be functional. This language does not have to be literary. It does not have to be nuanced learning of the language. That is something else. That brings me to the second part of the four ideas that I talked about, the last two parts, creativity and critical thinking. Now, when we talk of creativity and critical thinking, we are actually talking of already being in possession of tools of a language, where the student knows the language, is familiar with the language, knows how to actually put that language to use. And here we are giving it a discrete option. So the student, if the student wants, can opt for this kind of a thing. And there, once again, now what happens is, the reason why I stress upon this creativity and critical thinking as being absolutely discrete is that in most of the courses, and this is a practical reality which as teachers probably all of you will agree with me, as teachers of English, when we move into a class of literature, we find that most of the students who are sitting in that class have not joined that class for the purpose of learning more about the literature. They have joined it with the idea, with the purpose in mind that they will be able to learn the language better. And therein, both the purposes fail. The learning of language fails because the literature class will not equip them with the learning of the language, and the literature class fails by itself because the purpose of a literature class is that the student has to learn three things. The student has to learn, is to be exposed to a body of works of a certain language, written in a certain language. The student has to be introduced to an entire historical, cultural environment. And third and most important, and this is something that is the primary purpose of a literature course, is to equip them to independently appreciate texts for their literary merits. Now, this is something that probably most of the literature courses running in the country are not able to do. So we need to understand that this, unless and until we make the literature courses an extremely discrete, option for the students and provide them with a viable option of an integrated course where they have a practical exposure to the usage of the language, it will not be successful. The entire idea of having big English departments across the country, of having a lot of teachers teaching English, but then it will never succeed because we are not equipping our students either with the analytical tools and the tools to appreciate literature, nor are we giving them tools to be able to grapple with real life situations by using the language to their advantage. We give them neither of the things. We give them neither of the advantages. And because we are not doing that, we are failing our students in contributing to the development of their minds or of their personalities. So in the end, I would like to conclude by saying that probably we need to take a two-pronged approach where the integrated part should make the student familiar with workaday situations where they use the language. And here the idea of a foundation course with actual training in speaking and reading the language comes in, and a very limited course where students are exposed to the literature of that language. Probably if we can push this, then it will help us in creating more useful, more satisfying teaching experience in the classes. Once again, I thank all of you for listening so patiently, and I thank all the organizers for their support. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kapoor, for your enriching insight on integrated approach in language teaching. Let me now introduce to you our next scholar, Professor Kamal Bhalla. She has more than 32 years of teaching experience in English language, communication skills, and English literature. She has taught in various prestigious institutions like Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi, IMA Dehradun, BSF, CAB Navy Mumbai, Aishar, Bharat Electronics Ghaziabad, NTPC, and Tata Motors. Her expertise lies in preparing students for the placement. She has been with the Amity University for more than 17 years. Presently, she heads two institutes, Amity Institute of English Studies and Research and the Amity Institute of Corporate Communication. She comes from the Army background and proudly admits that her dedication and commitment are a legacy from Army. Professor Kamal Bhalla, ma'am.
For the very nice introduction. Before I begin, am I loud enough? Is it okay? Am I loud enough? Yes. Okay. Very good evening to all of you. We just heard Dr. Jaya Kapoor, and I think she was awesome, Jaya. You were so good, and I love that bit about communication and collaboration. It made so much sense. Well, today we are all here to discuss something which is very close to our hearts, and that is the teaching of English as a language. We are deeply concerned about this, but let me begin with due apologies to this panel, to the English teachers, to the native speakers, and taking full advantage of my advanced years. I think you will agree with me, English is quite a crazy language. It is a challenge. It has always been a challenge to teach, and it will always be a challenge to, teach this in future too. Where else in this much cliched PUT put but not beauty but, how are we going to get this across? Where will we find slim chance and fat chance meaning the same thing? Imagine, ask us, ladies who are fighting the battle of the bulge every day, slim and fat same. And according to the received pronunciation, we have O-U-G-H spelt in more than 6 to 7 ways, do, bow, and through, thorough, and I have so many examples. But having said that, let me just come down and say that, yes, LSRW are distinct, they are separate, but they are linked together by an invisible bond which it cannot ever go away. My mind harks back to the classroom, the syllabus in front of us, which we followed my fellow teachers will agree, so conscientiously. And there we had LSRW as different blocks. Our teachers taught them, and the member of the ELL, the language learner, would cross this hurdle and we'd say, wow, what a proficient speaker. But is he? We have to understand that these have to be integrated. They may be taught discretely in isolation, but you have to understand that they are not different or removable blocks ever. To find a proficient speaker, they will have to be taught in a very integrated manner because they complement each other and they cannot be taught in isolation. But then very ironically, we come across a finished product, a speaker who doesn't write well at all. A brilliant speaker, but his writing skills just don't meet the mark. Or a brilliant writer whose speaking doesn't impress. You must have come across so many like this. And if I ask you that out of LSRW, one skill was to be taken away, which one would you drop? The speaking or the writing? You know, the speaking has always been a very powerful component. Writing, who's going to take the trouble to analyze the written word? So where we are talking about, we'll see that the practical skills, the spoken and the written, are always up for judgment and evaluation and the claps. Let's come down to the brass tacks. To, you know, when we say generally the receptive skills or the passive skills emerge first. Listening is a part for, any class, any language begins with listening. But here I want you to understand that when we talk about listening, when we start with our teaching curriculum, when we start listening with due obeisance to LSRW is the first module. But tell me, the teacher teaching listening, what does she or he really do apart from a few exercises in listening comprehension or explaining the difference between listening and hearing? What else? A lot of theory about advantages and disadvantages and commandments of listening. Beautiful slides with cartoons and pictures intact. Very well. And then the student reproduces all of this in the exam and we say, wow, what a good listener and full marks for listening. Let's be very honest. Have you taught listening, the skill, the foundation skill? Have we been able to teach that? The teacher has to be totally sure that the teacher is integrating the listening, the speaking, the reading, the pronunciation drills, because our target is a proficient speaker. Whether we are going through literature or language, we have to go through all of these together. You know, when we talk about practically speaking, you have to say that, you know, the student has to learn to listen. And we have forgotten that to a very large extent. You know, they say that listening is one of the 16 most difficult skills. I don't need to explain that. All of you know the 16 most difficult skills. My favorite, of course, are, you know, resisting gossip, mastering sleep. Well, listening has been one of the most difficult skills, and we don't do justice to that. Can you imagine we don't do justice to that? It is imperative for the teachers to encourage the students to, well, listen to podcasts, TED Talks, excerpts from movies, English news. And what is the strategy the teacher must use? They must listen, memorize, repeat dialogues, be aware of pattern drills, and all of that. The teacher has to know, is the student listening to good English? That's where we fought. Is the student just looking for the meaning? Remember, we are trying to teach a language, not just to convey meaning. Well, a lot about listening. What follows is speaking. Speaking follows, and the world loves a good speaker. I think you'd all agree with me. We are ever ready to clap for a good speaker. Critics say that speaking has at times been greatly overrated. The speaker has the advantage of a great personality, has a great personality. I'm positive. Should I say positive? Positive, not such a good word in today's context. I can just say, I'm sure, I'm certain that a good speaker is an asset and a very good complement to society or everything. He has all the advantage of personality, style, accessories, you know, the buzzwords, everything. Of course, you may say that in today's context, the modern speaker may not have all of that, wearing a mask and the PPE suit, all of that is gone. Look at us in our classrooms. Each one of the teachers who are listening to this, what are we doing? Stressing, teaching discreetly the speaking module. Look at this, individual and group presentations, group discussions, interviews. We are constantly giving speaking the only speaking. And I agree with I read an article by a gentleman called Steve Kaufman. He says this pressure to speak and to speak well causes frustrations, it causes tension and delays the genuine fluency. So you have to be careful that when you're teaching this, the skill has to be integrated. The speaker can speak well if he has listened well, if he has read well, if he has read well and extensively, if he has, he's not handicapped by a paucity of vocabulary. In my classes, we did so many vocabulary drills, and I'm happy to say that the dividends were always there. The vocabulary is such an important part, and I continue to hold that vocabulary is a test of intelligence. It certainly is. Sometimes we say that, reading is also a form of listening. We tend to sub-vocalize new words when we hear it, we're listening to the sound. We all have that app on our phones. We can do that. Sometimes we as teachers, we take for granted that our teachers know, that our students know how to listen and how to read. We take that as a, prerequisite skill, or it's an inborn skill, but actually it is not. When they read, is reading comprehension there? Allow me to digress for a minute. I once took on the charitable task of teaching my maid's son. He brought his English reader all in, I think, class 4 or 5. And I was surprised that he could read the entire chapter without making a mistake. He could read the whole thing. And I said, wow. He read it. He knew all the sounds. He was able to imitate the teacher. But when I started asking him, the reading comprehension was zero. We as teachers have to make sure that what our students are reading, are they reading to understand? I once asked a few colleagues like you, suppose you were to do LSRW in percentages. And the results I got was 40% speaking, all others 20-20. I wonder how many of you would agree to this. The speaker has advantage of very well written slides. He has all the personality. Uncle Google always helps with very good slides. But I hear, what about the writing skills? Here I want to delve into my career. I taught many years at the business school. And the corporate feedback was always that our students lack good written skills. Leave alone creative writing. Just don't bother about that. They could not even write effective reports and emails. Are we doing enough to, give them enough practice and inputs in writing? Writing is actually, they say, a measure of academic language learning much more than the other skills. Many times it depends on the context in which the language has to be learned. Your goal has to be clear. Is it an end goal or is it a means to an end? What I mean to say is, suppose the goal is writing. A translator would naturally need more writing skills. An interpreter or a salesman would need very good speaking skills. So the skill has to be, at that time you can go along with what the person's main aim of learning the language is. This brings me to a point which I was very hesitant to bring to this platform. And that is something which is very painful, but I would like to share. The lacking of correctness in our English teachers. Yes, I repeat that. The mistakes our English teachers make. Their writing skills must have been very good. That's why they got the job and came to teach in the prestigious schools and colleges. But then I could never forget the constructions which they used to come up with, and they even now imagine saying, I didn't, had, I didn't, knew, and so many more. It has to be something which the teacher has to learn to correct. If that mistake is there, allow the peers to point it out. My son studied Alan Seeger's rendezvous with death. The teacher in the class used to say, rendez was with death. It was such a job to tell my son, your teacher is wrong, because for my child, the teacher was God. Mom could be wrong, but the teacher could not. Are we teaching people the choice of words? We're eminent in English, Shashi Tharoor, he made when he talks about the cattle class, look at the furore he created. Just now, our Prime Minister in the lockdown 1 and 2 said the barber shops are to be closed. In the lockdown 3, the barber shop opened and the WhatsApp message comes, in lockdown 3, barbaric activities can carry on. This is the English we are dealing with. Barbaric activities. Well, to carry on, when we teach language, we are producing skills of speaking and writing. They can together, when we integrate them, you take the language to a new level. When Jaya ma'am talked about communication and collaboration, when we talk about these things, you realize that where creativity enters the field, you go to actually a new level. We had Pinka who said that this is the jewel in the crown of cognition. Language is the jewel in the crown of cognition. And when you're using this, you're able to convey your intelligence. When we do this, you have to remember, it's no longer in isolation. You have to link to the life skills. Every person knows that now no learning objective of any syllabus is complete unless you have a life skill, unless you measure up to the life skill. And you have to, if you listen very, very carefully, you will see that listening is underlying every single life skill. Life skills, communication is not something to pass an exam with. It by itself is a life skill. Coming to an end, nowadays, I'm sure you're all aware, there is a new skill which has been added, LSRW plus CA. CA is cultural awareness. My colleagues know that we teach culture as a subject in the later semesters, but we have to find multi-level ways of thinking, perceiving values, life ways, customs, norms of making students aware. Look at COVID itself. It's given us a new vocabulary. Where did earlier people talk of social distancing in the way they do now? To conclude, yes, we teach LSRW discreetly, but we have to teach it in an integrated manner, because you have to have a learner who comes as proficient in language and a much deeper content comprehension. To end, I just leave the listeners with the idea of I just love the idea of the language-rich classroom. Everybody is advised to research this. It's available online in the book itself. They use the acronym CHATS, content reading strategies, higher order thinking skills, assessment tools, total participation, and the best part is the scaffolding strategies, which we could all learn. The details are easily available and you can modify to the Indian classroom. However, as much as we talk about LSRW, I'd love to end with my favorite lines from Paulo Coelho, my favorite author, an all-time favorite, when he says, enough of LSRW, everything. He says there are actually only 2 languages in the world, the language of feeling and the language of science. Thank you all for listening to me. Thank you so much. Good luck and God bless you.
Thank you, Professor Kamal Balla. Before this webinar, we didn't knew that this kind of mistake happens. Thank you, Professor, for enhancing perspective on language skills. Now I would like to invite Professor Choco Nurkamto. He is a professor of TESOL in the Department of English Language Education, the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education at Sebelas Maret University, Indonesia. He is currently the president of TEFLIN, the Association for the Teaching of English as a Foreign Language in Indonesia. His professional and research interests include development of language curriculum and professional development for the teachers. Professor Choco Nurkamto, please.
You probably will have, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I begin once again. Okay. So first of all, I convey my thanks to the committee for the invitation. I'm really happy to be with you now. Okay. In this case, I would like to talk about teaching, listening, speaking, reading, and writing integratively or discretely. Next slide, please. Yes, okay. Before that, okay. Yeah, okay. In this, I would like to differentiate between the focus of teaching and the process of teaching. So once again, when with skills, yeah, I try to differentiate between the focus of teaching and the process of teaching. Okay. Now let's begin with the focus of the teaching. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, what I mean by the focus of teaching is that, yeah, when we teach language skills, yeah, we could not teach the full language skills. So in one meeting of teaching, for example, 90 minutes, yeah, a teacher focuses on only one language skills, for example, reading. Why? Because he or she should help students to develop their reading skills. Yeah. So in this case, when we teach, we have to help students to learn. Yeah. For example, locating the idea of the text, distinguishing between literal and implied meaning of an expression, and recognizing cohesive devices in a text. So we have to develop their skills. Yeah. In addition, we also have to assess their reading competencies through assessment. Yeah. So it is not possible for us, yeah, to focus on all language skills. Yeah. So this is the focus. So we have to help the students to learn the language skill and to assess them. However, in the process of teaching, yeah, in the enactment, yeah, we have to integrate the all language skills. Yeah. So the focus is one skills, but in the process of teaching, yeah, we have to integrate all language skills. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. For example, next slide, please. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. For example, in reading comprehension, yeah, we have micro and macro language skills. Yeah. So we have at least 14 micro and macro skills for reading comprehension, from the very basic skills like discriminating among the distinctive grapheme and orthographic patterns of English, yeah, until the very complex one, number 14. Okay, the next slide, please. Yeah, developing and using a battery of reading strategies such as scanning and skimming, detecting discourse marker, guessing in the meaning of word from context, and activating schema for interpretations of text. So as a teacher, yeah, when we teach reading, for example, we have to develop the students' competency reading comprehension, yeah, by selecting the existing micro and macro skills for reading comprehension. Okay, it is what I mean by focusing on certain language skill. Yeah. However, once again, in the process of teaching, in the implementation of teaching, we have to integrate the 4 skills. So the integrations of language skills focuses on the teaching of the 4 language skills. Yeah, reading, writing, speaking, and listening through cumulative language teaching method. Yeah. Other language elements like pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, spelling, and so on should be learned in the context of language use. Yeah. Next, please. Okay, this is what I mean by integrated skills. Yeah. So one skills, the focus is one language skill, but implementation, yeah, in the process of teaching, yeah, we integrate the 4 language skills. Okay. The next, please. Next, please. Okay. Now I give you the example of the integrations of 4 skills. Yeah. For example, when we teach reading, yeah, we include at least 4 stages. Yeah. For example, in pre-reading, yeah, we discuss the topic to activate schemata. Yeah. So when we discuss, so pre-reading discussion of the topic to activate schemata. Discussion here refers to the activity of speaking. And then listening to a teacher's explanations about the topic of passage to be read. So listening, yeah. Discussion is speaking, and the listening, and then a focus on a certain reading strategy. For example, loading main idea, this reading. And then the last is writing a response to a reading passage. Yeah. So in one period of teaching, yeah, we include 4 language skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Okay. So the question is why we have to integrate language skill. The next slide, please. Why integration? Yeah. There are at least 5 reasons why we have to integrate the 4 language skills. Number 1, yeah, I quote from Brown 2007, yeah, Teaching by Principle. Number 1, production are simply 2 sides of the same coin. One cannot split the coin in 2. Number 2, interaction means sending and receiving message. Number 3, written and spoken language often, but not always, bear a relationship to each other. Number 4, often one skill will reinforce another. We learn to speak, for example, in part by modeling what we hear. And number 5, in the real world of language use, of our natural performance involve the integrations of 1 or more skills. Yeah, I think it makes sense that in our reality, in the real communication, we never use only 1 skills. Yeah, when we speak, for example, we assume that there will be someone who listen to our speech. Yeah, when we write, yeah, we also assume that there will be someone once, yeah, who will read our writing and so on. So this is the reasons why we have to integrate the 4 language skills in our teaching. The next, please. I think the last slide, please. Okay. Well, go that way. I would like to tell a little bit about the integration. Yeah, integration has 2 meanings. Yeah, the first meaning is the integrations among language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Even, yeah, plus language elements like grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, spelling, and some other language code. Yeah, this is the meaning, the first meaning of integration. The integration amongst language skills and language elements. Okay. And number 2, the integrations between language on the one hand and on subject. Yeah, it is what we mean integration number 2. Yeah, so in this case we have some teaching models of skills integration. Yeah, like content-based instruction. Yeah, it means that we learn language skills through learning subject matter. Yeah. For example, we learn economic or health using the target language. And so it is a kind of language acquisition, language acquisition, because we learn the subject using the target language. So in this case, we integrate a language skill and the subject matter. Another one is task-based language teaching, and then theme-based instruction, and then experiential learning, and then the episode hypothesis and some other teaching models. So in short, I can conclude in my presentation that when we teach language, I think we have to differentiate between the focus of and the process of teaching. Yeah, the focus of teaching means that we have to focus on certain language skill. Yeah, even we may concentrate on some of some skills, some micro skills in the language skills. However, in the process of teaching, once again, in the process of teaching, we have to integrate the full language skill. That's listening, speaking, reading, and writing. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, integration can mean two things. Number one is the integrations of the language skills and elements. Yeah. And number two, the integration between language skills in the one hand and the subject matter in the other hand. Yeah. So the students are supposed to learn or practice language through learning the subject matter. Okay, I think this is what I can say in my presentation. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Choco. Thank you. Thank you for your insightful inputs on integration of 4 skills in language teaching. Dear participants, we are there on all social medias as ELTAI India. You can follow us, like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or any other social platforms. You can opt for our membership on our website, eltai.in. Before we move to the question answer session, let me inform you that you can eligible for a webinar certificate if you have attended 6 out of 9 of the webinar 2020 series. So let's take our question. Okay, there are plenty of questions. Yeah, do we consider thinking another communication skill? So, Professor Balla, can you answer this? Do we consider thinking another communication skill?
It's not exactly a communication skill per se, but then thinking goes into everything which we really do. You know, when even sitting in silence, you're communicating. So it cannot be given the name of, thinking a communication skill. But sometimes you go into another, when you tell somebody, I was just thinking of you and you called, that thinking, where the psychological aspect comes in, that becomes a communication skill. But otherwise, in the classroom, the teacher sitting, the person sitting and thinking is not ready to communicate. A teacher could not sit and think and communicate. It would not be so. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, okay. The next question is how to select appropriate real-life situations. Professor Kapoor? How to select appropriate real-life situation?
Yes. See, when I was talking about real-life situations, what I meant was, let us take a look at the situations where the learner or the student is going to be exposed to chances of having to communicate. So first of all will be in the day-to-day public life where they might have to interact with others in English. That part has to be taught or taken up in the classroom teaching as a part of the day-to-day activities. The second, more specific, is where we are talking about specific courses in the student having to interact, collaborate, or communicate with others in the technical aspect. And this is where the real life situation that I actually had in mind is coming, because then the student has to know the demands of the situation in which the student has been put. For example, if you're going for an interview, or if you're going to make a presentation, or if you're going for a meeting, or some other a salesperson's job, then how do you conduct yourself effectively? That is the real life situation to which you are training the student.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor. This question is from Aditi Mishra. He wants to ask that, do you agree that now it's time to remove the grammar portion from the syllabus and make it more functional by introducing just different writing and speaking activities? I think, Professor Choco, can you answer this?
Okay.
Do you agree that now it's a time to remove the grammar portion from the syllabus and make it more functional by introducing just different writing and speaking activities?
Yes, I think in my presentation, I told that language elements, once again, we have to differentiate language skill, which is listening, speaking, reading, writing. And language elements include grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, spelling, and so on. Yeah. So I think in the teaching, we have to consider both, but different function. The functions of language element is to support, the language skills. So I think it is not possible for us to remove, the grammar from the syllabus. What we can do is we have to integrate, the teaching of grammar into the teaching of language skills. How do we do that? We have to teach grammar in the context of use. For example, when we teach speaking, for example, and students make mistakes, so we can focus on one of the students' points. So in this case, the teaching of grammar should be in the context. It should be functional and situational.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now this question is to Professor Jaya. It's from Sadhna Gupta. She wants to ask that, why are students with no command over English allowed admission to the courses dealing with English literature?
Yeah, this is something. Yeah, it's a very good question. In fact, this is probably where the entire focus of the courses and the way the authorities have put the focus of the courses is at fault. We probably need to shift the focus from the literature courses into the language courses, and we need to limit the entry into the literature courses over a period of time. Because of the way English was taken up, literature was thought to be the medium for reading and understanding of the language. Now, with our experience of seeing how it fails, we need to take away the seats or the positions from the literature courses, and we need to give more space to the language courses, promote language courses, and make them more practical. I think I've answered the question. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. So this was the last question for today. Hope you have enjoyed and discovered new ideas and approaches from today's discussion. Here I would like to thank Dr. Jaya Kapoor, Dr. Kanwal Balla, Dr. Choco Nurkamto, Dr. Sanjay Arora, our organizing committee, and office bearers of LTI, dear LTI members, and lovely participants. Thank you. Now, over to Dr. Sanjay Arora for the concluding note. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mithun, for conducting the session quite smoothly. And I also thank the participants for their valid questions that they asked, and the panelists for responding to those questions. Professor Jaya talked about communication and collaboration. She also mentioned about creativity and critical thinking. Professor Balla talked about the most neglected skill, that is listening, and that's why it makes it so very difficult a skill. She also highlighted the teacher's mistakes, that it is because of the teachers that the students carry those mistakes forward, whether it is in terms of their syntax, pronunciation, or whichever area it may be. And she also added this CA, the cultural awareness, to this LSRW acronym, which is very valid in this context today. And Professor Joko added subject matter to the 4 skills. So all the panelists were unanimously talking about the integration of all the 4 skills and adding cultural awareness, subject matter, and maybe critical thinking skills to the LSRW skills. So thank you to all the panelists for their penetrating insights that they provided.